Welcome to your Time Management Revolution. This is Time Management Fixer Helene Segura. In today's episode, I'll be sharing a previously recorded interview during which we're discussing time management and mind management. Enjoy.
Badly placed ottoman he grew up in Danville, Illinois. The 90-year-old Van Dyke says he will make 2 fundraising appearances in Danville on June 24th. The money raised will be used for the restoration effort on his house. Van Dyke says he's always been the same Midwestern nerd people in the small town knew decades ago, and he said he grew up thinking Danville was the center of the universe, and said he still does. I'm Michael Toscano.
From apps and digital ordering to robots at your favorite restaurant, Pizza Hut will be testing a robot cashier at several of its stores in Asia later this year. The National Restaurant Association says streamlining labor costs is vital to the food service industry, which runs on razor-thin profit margins. I'm Ann Cates.
While most video surveillance solutions capture and store hours of nothing, CUDA-I by Barracuda Networks only captures video when something happens. Once captured on camera, the video evidence is immediately encrypted and sent to the cloud for safe storage and easy retrieval from any web browser or mobile device. With CUDA-I, there's no network configuration or software to install. Just plug 1 or more cameras into your network to better protect your business. Don't get caught with nothing. Do something about it. Check out CUDAI.com. That's CUDAEYE.com.
Did you know that RingCentral is the business phone system behind some of the fastest growing companies? Why RingCentral? Because it's a phone system in the cloud that easily grows with your company. Old phone systems are a mess of wires and cables. Adding an employee or office means figuring out that mess, which takes time a fast-moving business doesn't have. RingCentral gives you a new, better way. Easily add employees and offices. Make any device act like a corporate phone, even your own cell phone. Visit ringcentral.com to see how.
The Enterprise, Utah's business journal, is for people who are serious about being well-informed. Published since 1971, the Enterprise provides the local news you won't find anywhere else. It's the must-read newspaper, available in print and online. Find info and tips that can save or earn your company thousands. Want to reach decision makers? Discover news and information that will help you open doors to new businesses you can add to your bottom line. Sign up now for your weekly subscription, and you'll receive the Enterprise, Utah Business Journal's annual Book of List publication with contact names, addresses, and phone numbers of who's who in the Utah business community. Visit SLEnterprise.com or call 801-533-0556 to subscribe now. For a little more than $1 a week, you can join those who demand to be in the know. Subscribe now, and with your annual subscription, you'll receive $500 in additional perks absolutely free. Again, visit SLEnterprise.com or call 801-533-0556 today.
And now, Linda Strasberg, interviews and interactions on KTALK.
Welcome to the program. This is Linda Strasberg with interviews and interactions. My guest today is going to really help you because it's a problem that we all have. And I'd like to ask you, the listeners out there, those of you that are listening in on the program today, if you're drowning in overwhelm. That's one of the questions at the start of the overview of my guest today. Are you drowning in overwhelm? And I think today in this rapid fast-moving life that we're in America, and people say the Americans are moving at a faster pace than any other place in the world, that many of us can get overwhelmed. There's a number of reasons why we do that. My guest today is Helene Segura, and she has written a fantastic book that's very timely, and I love the title, The Inefficiency Assassin. And she has been a productivity coach, and many people call her to come into their companies and professionals to help them out and make them more time efficient. And she's part of the National Speakers Association, and she has a website which she'll share with us later. And she is a president of the International Board of Certification for Professional Organizers. That's perfect for this book. The name of the book is Inefficiency Assassin, Helene Segura. Welcome to the program, Helene.
Thank you so much, Linda. Glad to be here.
This is such a timely topic because so many people don't even know where to start to get their time organized. And, we had all those books where you put ABC and, you write them down. But there's some of us that don't like doing that because it takes more time. So I'd like to ask you how you started writing this. Why did you start writing this? Is it because you had so many clients that needed this help and so you put it in a book? Or what was your motivation for it?
I had quite a few clients when we got to the last session. They were very excited that they had evolved so much and learned so much, but they thought, I wish you could be here with me and stay with me. I would like to have advice whenever I need it, even if it's in the middle of the night. And quite a few had asked, maybe you should put this into a book. What do you think about that? So that journey started because of client requests.
Oh, and so your clients, what's the spectrum of the clients that you had? What were they doing?
I have anywhere from high-power sales folks who are out on the road 5 or 6 days a week to a stay-at-home mom who is trying to balance the work of the household with the rest of life that seems to be passing her by. So it runs the gamut, and therefore I've met a lot of fascinating people.
Mm-hmm. As you wrote this book, I'm sure you have looked at other cultures and other places in the world and how they manage their time. Contrast that to American life and their time management.
One of my favorite places to visit is Italy. Mm-hmm. My husband and I go away every single summer to just disengage from the world and completely disconnect. No phones, no computer, and just meet people and learn about cultures. And in the Italian culture, they have a phrase called dolce far niente, the sweetness of doing nothing, where the whole family and perhaps even friends from around the corner will come over and enjoy a 2 or 3 hour meal. And Americans just don't slow down like that, except for maybe holiday time in November and December, but they do this on an almost daily basis. And that was a huge eye-opening experience to know that you can still live a successful life and run a business even if you're taking time out to eat a 2 or 3 hour meal and just enjoy life.
I love that. My family's from Italy, so that hits
really
close.
Well, you know about this then.
In 1997, I dated a guy that came here from Bosnia, and he came after the war, and he was placed here in the United States. And I went with him, and it was really interesting to get his perspective. And one of the first things he said, and their culture is a lot like Italy, because basically it was in that part of the world. And he said Americans don't take time to sit back and enjoy life and be with their friends. And he says there's just no time for that. And he says I'm never going to let that happen to me. Well, fast forward 10 years, and he has a business, and he's caught up in it already. And I was thinking, what is it about our culture that makes people want to do too much? And we almost brag about how busy we are, don't we?
Yes, but there's a difference between being busy and taking action. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of folks out there who are completely overwhelmed, and they think just because they're moving around, they must be doing something, and therefore they're busy. But a lot of times we spend our energy on actions or tasks that aren't going to move us ahead. But as far as this culture, our American culture, it's just in our DNA that we are driven. And then once you come to this country and start hanging around Americans, you see everybody around you is driven to do something. We always have some kind of list. We're always on the go. There's a competition with the neighbors to see how many activities and organizations you and your kids can be in. It's like there's a drive to have more and more and more, and that's what leads us into overwhelm.
Mm-hmm. I can compare that when I used to run 5K races, and I said to myself, okay, I'm going to pace myself. But then everybody starts running really, really fast at first, and I got caught up in it. And that, I think, goes over to our lifestyle and how we live. We see all these people doing all these things, and we think, and I have said this to myself, oh, I'm going to get left behind. And so we fill up our time, and sometimes, like you said, we're just spinning our wheels because it's not productive time. So
right, exactly. And I'd like to add one quick note about what you were saying. When we see those other people and we think we need to catch up, sometimes you don't realize that one of those people you're trying to chase is my client. And they think that they need to be doing all of these things because everybody else around them is doing it. So we try to rein things back in and slow things down. So the point is, just because you see somebody running 100 miles an hour, you don't know the whole picture. You don't know how happy they truly are in life. So don't go chasing something unless you truly know what you're chasing.
One guy said to me, if you chase too many rabbits, you'll never catch any one of them. And I love that saying because that is really true. I'm guilty of that, trying to fill in so much time with, and it's not necessarily productive time. And you use that word productive a lot in your book, don't you?
Yes. Because going back to being busy versus taking action, if you're productive, then you're making progress in something. You're making progress on a project for your career, or you're making progress in something that's important to you in your personal life. And so you don't have to be turned on all day long like a robot and just work for 8 hours straight. Or when you get home from work, you're on as a robot for 5 hours straight getting everything done at home. But with the time that you spend, how productive can it be? So can you get as much done as possible? Or in your personal life, can you have as much fun as possible? So that way you are using every minute to its fullest.
At the first of our interview, you used the word balance when you were describing the lady at home that was trying to balance her life. Share with our listeners your perspective on what balance is. Because sometimes we don't even know what that is.
Right. To me, balance means that at the end of the day, even if your day did not go perfectly, your blood pressure is not through the roof, you're not shaking from thinking, oh my goodness, I still have so much left to do. And in the moment when you're reflecting about your day and in fact your life, you're at peace. You're happy with who's around you, you're happy with what you're doing in life. And to me, that's balance. Balance is not necessarily having this exact time structured out during the day, and I will only work for 8 hours, and I will have personal time for 8 hours, and I will sleep for 8 hours. I think that perfect kind of balance is totally impossible. To me, balance is how you feel at the end of the day and whether or not you're at peace.
I love that. I've never heard somebody describe that way. When I find that a lot of people, including myself, if someone knows how to hit my heart, I'll drop everything and help them. And people know my buttons. And I'm sure there's other buttons that people have out there that are listening right now that where their soft spot is and they get distracted. Can you talk to us about that? I mean, getting distracted, having somebody that's distraught and maybe might need your help. How do we not let some of those buttons get pushed at the wrong time?
It's very important that you understand what the top 3 or 4 priorities are in your life and have them posted so that way you're viewing it every single day. And therefore, it's in the forefront of our brains when we're being asked to make a decision about how we're going to use our time. And then when these distractions fall into your lap, you need to ask yourself, will addressing this task right now serve me and help support these top 3 or 4 priorities that I have? And if somebody truly has an emergency, then you're most likely going to drop something in order to go help them because you're a kind soul. But if this person has an emergency every single day, then perhaps it's not an emergency. And you need to step back and ask yourself, is serving this person all the time supporting my top priorities?
Mm-hmm. I think for the listeners to get a really good perspective on what you do is if you share with us a success story. At this point, and a lot of times I leave that to the last, but I want to do it now because I think it'll give the listeners a perspective on exactly what you do and how your book relates to issues.
Okay. I have a favorite client of mine. I love all my clients, but this one in particular stood out from the rest because she had a lot of medical issues that were related to the stress that she was under. She was on maxed out on her blood pressure medicine, her anti-anxiety medicine, and a few other meds in there. And she came to me because she was staying up all hours of the night to get things done because she was procrastinating at work or had been interrupted at work and hadn't learned to take a step back and negotiate time with people who were trying to take her time away. And so she finally got to the point where she felt she was going to have a nervous breakdown. And when she went to her therapist, the therapist said, you're pretty maxed out on blood pressure medicine and anti-anxiety medicine. You have got to cut back on your stress. You need to cut back on work. And she thought, how do I cut back on work? I have so much to do. So that's when she called me in. And over the course of a year, we worked through the different time issues that she was having. It's not like you can just flip a switch and then overnight every single one of your 100 time challenges goes away. It's making healthy life changes and healthy life choices about how you use your time. So after this period, she was able to cut back on her blood pressure medicine and on her anti-anxiety medicine. And so to me, not that I'm anti-medication because some people really do need the meds, but she was able to cut back on medicines that were giving her side effects of weight gain and sleeplessness. And so it was just win-win all the way around. And so that's one of my favorite success stories with my clients.
I love that. We're going to go to break, and then we'll be right back. And I'm going to ask you a question about when you get distracted and stuff happens in your life that pulls you away from it, that is urgent, and then how do you get back on track? How do you avoid getting in a tailspin? We'll be right back.
Is your furnace giving you trouble? Or perhaps you didn't get around to replacing that old AC unit this summer. CTR Heating and Air is the locally owned and operated HVAC company you can trust. Check them out on Angie's List. They're also Gephardt approved and have years of experience that will assure your home is the perfect temperature all year round. Turn to the experts. CTR Heating and Air is an authorized dealer for Carrier, the leading name in furnace and air conditioning systems. Yes, CTR Heating and Air offers the best price in quality furnace and AC equipment, but they also service most manufactured brands. And CTR will always provide you with a straightforward assessment of the service required to have your furnace or AC unit running smoothly and efficiently. Get ready for the cold weather. Take advantage of CTR's Early Bird Furnace Tune-Up Special for the low price of $39, or a complete furnace diagnostic for only $59. Free with any repair. Call today, 801-999-4220. That's 801-999-4220. 801-999-4220. Or visit them online at ctrheatingandair.com.
Trouble sleeping? Hi, I'm Carl Tobler, owner of Mattress Warehouse. I've been putting Utahns to sleep for a decade now. If you've had trouble sleeping, it could be your mattress. Most mattresses lose their support in the first 10 years. And just because a mattress is new doesn't mean it's the right mattress for you. All mattresses are not created equal. The Mattress Warehouse 6 Wasatch locations carry dependable, quality name-brand mattresses that will assure you a good night's sleep for years to come. Our Sealy, Serta, and Tempur-Pedic mattresses provide the engineering, selection, and comfort you deserve. And our exclusive Sleep Fit process will help you select the perfect mattress for you. If for any reason you're not thrilled with your new mattress, we'll exchange it for another mattress of your choice up to 120 days after your original purchase. Visit us online at mattresswarehouseutah.com for a location near you. Then drop in and check out our big sale going on now. We're Gephardt approved, and we guarantee the lowest price on your new mattress, or it's absolutely free.
Save time, save money, sleep good tonight. MattressWarehouseUtah.com.
Are you living with old and ugly carpet? You want new carpet, but it's just too expensive, right? We know what you mean. Introducing $3 Carpet, the most affordable carpet solution on the planet from the exclusive trade show carpet reseller. Our beautiful carpet used for only 2 to 3 days is still just like brand new, but we sell it to you starting at only $3 a yard. It normally sells for $10 to $12 a yard. You'll be blown away. Normally $12 a yard, now just $3. So don't live with that ugly carpet anymore. Call $3 Carpet. It's only $3 a yard. That's 33 cents a foot. Most of our customers save up to 60%. In Draper, call now, 801-988-9733, $3carpet.com, 801-988-9733, $3carpet.com. Call today. Attention salespeople, $3 Carpet is currently hiring to help with our high demand. If you're looking for a great sales job with unique and exclusive products, we've got one. Call today, 801-988-9733.
Welcome back to the program. This is Linda Strasberg with Interviews and Interactions. My guest today is Helene Segura, and she's written a book called The Inefficiency Assassin, Time Management Tactics for Working Smarter, Not Longer. And we all only have 24 hours a day to live our life and to get things done. So we all need to learn how to work smarter. So I wanted to come back and ask you, Helene, when life happens, and there's all kinds of distractions that can happen in life, and you can be working on a project and all of a sudden there's a big glitch in a project, like you don't get your materials or somebody doesn't show up to get completed. How do you regroup on that?
What you want to do is focus on what end result you want to have and when do you need it by. Because sometimes, even though we're upset in the moment because things didn't go as planned, sometimes we don't have to have everything right then and there. So we can take a look at our calendars and adjust our time blocks as necessary. So if somebody hasn't delivered the materials that you were expecting today, when do you absolutely need them by, so that way you still have time to finish the project? And then also critical is communicating with that person who hasn't delivered to let them know this is the absolute last day and hour that I need the materials, and if I don't have it by then, I won't be able to finish the project. And then let that person know what the consequences would be for you. What kind of heck would you be in if you don't finish that project on time? So it's important to let all team members know, the people who you're relying on for this project, let them know what you need by when and what the repercussions are if things don't get delivered on time. Mm-hmm. So when this happens, you just want to focus back in on, if I can't work on this particular project now, after I touch base with the other people who are involved, what is the next item that I can work on, whether it's related to this project or not, so I can still make progress today, even though I didn't get to make progress on the task I had wanted to.
Good plan. A lot of times people, and I've been on both sides of the fence, where people promise that they'll get a job in at a certain time because they want the job. And I have asked people, now, is this because you want the job time, or is this the real time you can get it to me? Because if you can't get the product or the people to me in time, then there has to be some sort of repercussion to it. Because I know how it is on the other side of the fence, because I worked for a company that did that. And I'm sure we've all ran into that we run into people making promises just to get the job. So I think sometimes clarification at the very front is also a big time saver. What about procrastination? I think everybody's guilty of that.
Yes, it's human nature to procrastinate. Psychologists define procrastination as the act of wanting to feel better now. So procrastination is basically the adult version of a 3-year-old's tantrum of, I don't want to. Mm-hmm. We put things off, and who doesn't want to be happy and satisfied right now? But in that moment, when you catch yourself wandering away from the task that's in front of you or the decision that's in front of you, maybe you've got a tough decision you need to make, and you catch your brain wandering, or you catch your hand reaching for your phone so you can check social media instead. In that moment, ask yourself, will delaying this decision or working on this task support my goals and move me forward? Now, if it's not a critical task, then it's okay to delay. Maybe you just need to take a 5-minute break. But if it is something that's important, a decision that needs to be made, or a project that you need to work on, then the answer to that question is going to be no, delaying will not support me and will not make me happier in the future. So I guess I better work on this now.
Good idea. When you were talking about you don't want to delay feeling good now, how can we talk our minds into knowing that we will feel good when we get that job done? I mean, what's the self-talk you would tell somebody to do?
Exactly what you said. Talk about how are you going to feel when you finally get this checked off your list? Because maybe it's something that you've been procrastinating on for hours or days or maybe even weeks. Wouldn't it feel great to be done with this and to not have to see it anymore? How much relief will you have when you can put this away? So think about your future self. It's a term that a lot of folks use out there about thinking how you're going to feel when you are in the next day or in the next week. How will you feel in that moment when you realize, oh, thank goodness, I'm done with everything? So think about your future self.
Mm-hmm. What if you have a fear of failure? I think a lot of people procrastinate because they fear that they're really not going to be able to do the job, and they're given jobs that stretch them a bit, and so they avoid it because of fear. What's your take on that?
This one is actually a little tougher because when you have that hint of perfectionism in you, it's really hard to be satisfied with anything less than 150%. So it's going to go back to thinking of how you feel when you're beating yourself up or when you're doing something over for the 20th time because you think it's going to be, incrementally better and therefore more perfect. How do you feel in those moments when you're doing that to yourself? And when you realize how miserable you are when you're doing that, when you're just beating yourself up, then you'll be less likely to demand that much of yourself. And so it's working your high bar that you set yourself up for, working that from 150% down to 125%, down to 100%, and eventually maybe down to the 85 or 90% mark. Now, it's not going to happen all at once, but through the self-talk and wanting to feel better instead of feeling miserable all the time, you'll help lower your standards. Now, the rest of the world operates at maybe between 70 and 80% as far as the quality of work that's being done. So even if you drop yourself to quote-unquote only 90%, you're still well ahead of the game in the rest of the world.
I like that. There's parts in your book that are genius, and this is it. And I love how you looked at different types of learners, and you appealed to how they think and how they will absorb the material in the book and how you presented it. Can you share with us that? I think it's genius how you did that. So,
thank you.
Share with us how you decided to do that and what the different sections are. Because I haven't seen it in all the books I've read and reviewed. I haven't seen that in books that somebody has thought of that.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm glad you realized that there was an intention in this. My background is in education and educational psychology. So there's an understanding of how the human brain learns and how it learns in different ways. And based on your learning style, you might be a global learner and you need to have an idea of the lesson that's going to be learned. Plus, humans also learn from stories, so that's why the first portion of each chapter is built in with some storytelling. So for people who don't like to read, don't worry, it's not a novel, but there's a very short story or short example there. And then for those people who are very tactical, they just say, tell me what to do, and they're off and running. And then there's a list of tactics that you can apply in order to face the challenge that the chapter is about. For those learners who are more strategic, they need to understand why those tactics work. The next section in each chapter is the strategy. It's the why. And even though everything is based on science and psychology in here, And the book is not ladled with all of that research. So it's basically explained in layman's terms because people who read this book don't have a whole lot of extra time. They need to be able to get through each chapter in 10 or 15 minutes. And then, to follow the teaching cycle, each chapter ends with plotting your next steps. Because reading a book is great, but if you don't implement the knowledge that you're taking from this, then you may as well not have read it. So each chapter is set up in this way, and so no matter what learning style you have, you can still take away those concepts that are going to move you forward.
Mm-hmm. Why did you use the word assassin in your title? It's a very aggressive word.
It is. I'll tell you the medium short version of the story. I had gone to a marketing class, and we were talking about job titles, and I was told point blank, well, productivity consultant is a pretty darn boring title. I thought, well, yes, that is correct. They said you need to jazz it up a little bit, get somebody's attention. And so we went through these marketing exercises, and then I carried over the marketing exercises to a group of colleagues, and there were some adult beverages involved. And we filtered all of the information down to, I bring peace to people's lives by helping them slay lost time. And then fast forward to about a couple of weeks after this little gathering, my husband and I were driving back from the Texas-Mexico border and passing by border control and all sorts of guns, and then all of a sudden it just popped into my head, oh my gosh, the inefficiency assassin, because I help people get rid of inefficiency. Also, within the reason for the title is I'm a huge thriller and spy fan, movies, books, you name it. So that's also part of the reason assassin is in there. So it's not meant to be violent. I'm actually a very peaceful and zen-like person. But my publisher loved my job title and therefore went with it for the title of the book.
And no publishers ever use the title that you want them to use. So that's quite an accomplishment. When you wrote your book, who did you visualize you were writing to?
Each different chapter was written to one of my clients. And so I pictured the client who I worked with in that particular situation who was really struggling and who had a very tough time with that concept, and I wrote to that client. So there were some chapters, maybe 2 or 3, that might be about one client, but otherwise each chapter is for a different client who I worked with. And I took their toughest case because I figured if I could teach them this concept, then if I put that into the book, I would be able to teach anybody that concept.
Mm-hmm. Let's just say, I mean, I don't know if you're a parent yet, but if you have kids, and there's a lot of people that have kids, and I think one of the key things you can teach your children is how to have time management, especially now they get a plethora of homework, and they're usually involved in all kinds of things like soccer and basketball and cheerleading, and their time is so busy. And I think that sometimes we pass on that tension to our kids about being overscheduled. So let's just say you have some kids you want to teach how to time management, and they're like 12 years old, or maybe that's too late. But how would you go about teaching these kids how to time management?
First, it's going to be up to mom or dad to start getting their calendars in check. But as they're doing it, it's really important to have a family meeting each week. And it's helpful if you do this either during dinner or right after, because when your belly is full, then your blood sugar is a little higher and you're happier and tend to intake information better. So never do this on an empty stomach, but you want to sit down and talk about what kind of activities that you have coming up during the week. And so the parents will share this information, the kids will share this information, and using a calendar, you write out who is doing what and when. If Johnny has a school project that's due on Thursday, what materials does he need? And if Johnny isn't old enough to go to the store on his own, when will mom and dad go to the store in order to get those materials? And so when you start having these conversations, your week schedule is not going to be perfect in the beginning, but at least you're starting to take a look at what all that you have going on. And when families sit down to do this, this is when they start to realize where some of the overwhelm is coming from. Oh my goodness, you're playing 2 different sports, and you have practice the same night. How can you be at both practices at one time? How can you do your homework if you're at practice for 4 hours in the evening? So this is when families start taking a look at what they can remove from their plate, and kids can still be involved in activities, and parents can still be involved in the community, but just not so much that it drains them.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good idea. I would think that would provide a lot of solace to kids because they're getting stressed out and they don't have the skills to manage their time. So I think what you do is a perfect class for children that are, between 8 and 12 years old, so they can learn how to do it when they're younger, so they don't get in that position where they're really stressed out. We have to go to a break for a minute, but I want to come back and ask you, and the break will give you time to think about your answer, which I probably think you don't need to do, but each of us have a time in the day that we're very productive, and I think the world is made up of people that get up early in the morning, and it's designed that way. A lot of places and places of work are that way, and I would like you to touch on the aspect of how we can manage our time to be the most productive at our most productive time. And I think a lot of people don't realize they have a certain time during the day or maybe even the night where they're the most productive, and they can do some of their times. And I would like you to address that. And we're going to go for a break in just a moment.
Okay.
Let's see. We've got 2 more minutes, so we can get started on answering this question right now.
Oh, sure. The first thing that you want to do is start being fully present, because so many times we're on autopilot, and so we don't even realize what we do throughout the day and what time we do these things in. So once you start being present and realizing when your brain is functioning and when you are just a complete idiot because you cannot think, you can't do anything at a certain time, when you start paying attention to that, you'll be able to start scheduling your tasks and appointments and projects at the times when your brain is most active and ready to work on those things.
You answered my question very quickly. When people start setting up their time to do their tasks during the day, a lot of times other people tell you what they want done. So I want to come back and ask you how you negotiate time when someone tells you it's their priority, and you have to adjust to it because they're your boss. So let's come back and I answer that question of how you can do that when you have a lot on your plate already. So we'll be right back.
Okay.
This is Charles Osgood. Auto Owners Insurance was founded in 1916, 3 years before cars had automatic windshield wipers. You wouldn't want to drive a car today without wipers, so you should never drive without Auto Owners by your side. Let our independent local agents help you with all your auto, home, life, or business insurance needs. Find your agent at AutoOwners.com. Auto Owners Insurance, 100 years of putting people first. Find your local independent agent at AutoOwners.com. That's AutoOwners.com.
Remember when a small business needed a landline? Today, landlines are a thing of the past with Grasshopper, the entrepreneur's phone system. On the road, at the beach, or at home, Grasshopper helps you grow your business. Get all the features of a business phone system and the freedom of a cell phone with our iPhone and Android apps. Features include multiple extensions for your team, calls forwarded to your mobile phones, voicemails transcribed and emailed, and so much more. See how it works at Grasshopper.com, the entrepreneur's phone system.
2 little tablets is all it takes to make your thin hair feel and look thicker and fuller, guaranteed. Viviscal is the #1 drug-free hair growth supplement in the U.S., with 1 box being sold every minute globally. It's clinically researched to promote existing hair growth for men and women, and now a 90-day supply of Viviscal is offered in your area risk-free plus free shipping. Call 800-335-6519. Viviscal nourishes thinning hair from within. You'll love your hair growth results, guaranteed. Viviscal is so effective, it's recommended by top doctors. Here's Dr. Grant Stevens, board-certified plastic surgeon.
I feel confident recommending Viviscal to women with hair loss, thinning hair, or even dry or brittle hair. It's 100% drug-free, and it's backed by years of clinical research.
Want to try Viviscal? Every listener that calls now gets a 90-day risk-free supply plus free shipping. Call now, 800-335-6519. 800-335-6519. That's 800-335-6519.
Hey, Lucy, you're the CFO of this company.
That's why you pay me.
We need a better way to manage our expenses.
Concur.
Automated expense reports.
Concur.
Faster invoice processing, timely financial data, a whole system that helps us make better decisions around how we spend our money.
Concur.
While I appreciate your enthusiasm, I'm actually looking for ideas, not agreement.
That's why we're getting Concur for expense, travel, and invoice. Everything you described scaled perfectly to our business, and it's surprisingly cost-effective.
Lucy, you're a genius.
I concur.
Expense, travel, invoice. Learn more at concur.com.
I'm Bill. I'm a 51-year-old man, but this is like what I sounded like to lenders. That's because I co-signed a loan with my 19-year-old daughter 2 years ago. So her credit mistakes
became my credit mistakes. Then I decided to get serious about my FICO score, so I signed up for Experian. Now I get alerts if something affects my credit. I can clear it up before it becomes a problem, so lenders can meet the real me, a father who needs to have a little talk with his daughter.
Get serious about your credit. Get Experian. Go to Experian.com and start your credit tracker trial membership today.
Welcome back to the program. It's Linda Strasberg with Interviews and Interactions. I want to get an answer to a question that I'm sure everybody asks you, is you get sidetracked by somebody that's your boss, and they want you it's urgent for them, and it's a priority for them to get something done, and all of a sudden your whole day changes. So what would you suggest for that?
I'd like to use a client example in order to give the answer. This question just popped up about a week and a half ago. I was working with a phone client from the UK. He was only been on the job for 6 weeks, so he's really nervous about trying to impress everybody at this company. And he has what he feels is an overbearing boss who comes over to his desk and says, I need this, I need that, I need this by tomorrow, I need this in 10 minutes. And he's afraid of saying no to his boss because he doesn't want to lose the job. So the next time his boss came around, I had my client take out his calendar and sketch into the calendar was all of the different task time he had allotted for the different projects that he has revolving around him. And when the boss said, I need this done by tomorrow, my client said, oh, wow, that looks like an exciting project, but I'd like to show you what we have going on here. This is what I'm supposed to be working on today so I can get you Project A by Friday, and this is what I'll be working on tomorrow so I can get you Project D by next Wednesday. So if you want me to meet the deadline on this particular project, I'm going to have to move one of these other projects around. So would you like to help me decide which project you need by when?
I love that.
First you acknowledge the boss, because you're not just sitting there with your arms crossed saying, well, I don't want to, or come on, are you an idiot? Why are you dumping all this work on me? Because you can't say that. You will get in trouble. Instead, you acknowledge that you're excited about the work, but then show the boss, this is my plan. I've got everything mapped out because I want to do a quality job for you, and everything that I do needs to be well done. And sometimes bosses don't realize everything else that you have going on. They just walk by and hand over stuff. Mm-hmm. But once you invite that boss into the picture, you're able to negotiate time without feeling guilty, because your boss knows that you are doing your best and you want the best for the company.
That's a great answer. I love that, because you're kind of making the decision together, which is perfect.
Exactly.
I also believe in karma, that when you give somebody something, they usually reciprocate. In other words, if you build up good bank accounts, like Steve Covey talks about, emotional and a bank account with somebody, that when you need to delegate or ask for some help, they'll reciprocate. And have you seen that a lot in time management? Does that distract? The negative side of that is maybe you will be doing too much for somebody else, and then they don't reciprocate. So what's your thought on that?
This is why it's so important when you interact with the folks around you, you're paying attention to the type of relationship you have with people. Now, some people are just takers. They just want to take, ask you for help, and they never want to reciprocate. And those are the kind of folks who I consider toxic, and we need to cut them out as much as possible. Even if it's a coworker, we don't have to say yes to absolutely everything for that person. But for those people who understand that there's give and take and there is a reciprocal relationship there, those are the folks that you end up loving to work with because you can trade off on tasks and chores. And so if you can understand why those relationships work, perhaps you can transfer some of those highlights to that taker. Because maybe the taker has never been told, this is how I feel you're putting pressure on me, or perhaps we can handle this a different way. Sometimes takers have never been educated on what a better way is to get things done. So you can take the highlights from the reciprocal relationship and teach the taker how to be in a reciprocal relationship.
Mm-hmm. This is the next question, and we're getting to the top of the hour, so I wanted to get this into our interview because I think it's a biggie. It's kind of like the monster we haven't talked about, and that's technology and our phones and emails and all the things that can distract us and all the things that can help us. How do we use those tools wisely for our time management?
The way you phrased it is exactly the way you need to look at it. How do we use the tools? Because they are exactly that. They are tools. However, in this rush to feel like we're connected to everyone and everything in the world, we have let those devices control our days when it should be the opposite. We should be controlling the devices and using them as tools. And that's why it's extremely important, and I know this is controversial, and those people who have notifications on are about to roll their eyes back into their heads when I say this, but we really need to turn the notifications off on our devices. Neuroscience tells us that it takes an average of 30 to 90 seconds to regroup when we're interrupted. And the average person gets 110 text messages or email messages a day. So if we have our notifications on and we are reaching for our phones and devices every time we hear or feel that notification, we are interrupting ourselves 110 minutes out of the day. And I'm not suggesting that you turn off your notifications and never check email and text, but what you want to do is check when your brain is ready to receive it. That way it won't be an interruption. Now, some people can go 3 hours without checking because that's the kind of job that they have. Other people need to check every 10 or 15 minutes, and that's fine, but at least you're getting 10 or 15 minutes of focused work done instead of those constant interruptions. So going back to your question, the way you phrased it is exactly how you need to view your devices. They are your tools.
The name of the book, we've been talking with Helene Segura, and the name of the book is The Inefficiency Assassin. And there's a lot of time management books out there. This is new and innovative and very different compared to some of the other ones. And I've done a lot of them. And this is a really, really good book for time management, and it's new and innovative, and the approach is innovative, which I think will appeal to anybody that opens this book, your personality. The name of the book is The Inefficiency Assassin, Time Management Tactics for Working Smarter, Not Longer, and it's a great book. What's your website, Helene?
The website is theinefficiencyassassin.com.
Then that's easy and memorable. You can find it really easily. And I went to her website and to your website, and it's a great website. And you can get information in there. And the book is on Amazon. And I think this is going to be in the top of time management books. It just barely came out, so give it a little time, and it's going to be on the top because I love it. It's written. Very easy to access the information. You don't have to read the whole book page to page. You can go in there and take out snippets that you really apply to you or things that are bugging you and you want to get past them. It's a great book, and it's a tool, actually. It's a book and a tool, so I think it's a great way to access information that you want to have about time management. So you need a shining star for this book.
Oh, thank you, Linda. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome. So thanks for being with us for a whole hour. It's been really informative.
Oh, my pleasure. It was a blast, and I can't believe it's been an hour already. Yeah. Time flies when you're having fun.
Thank you, Helene. Have a good week. Great great book, and I really, if you want something on time management, you're getting a little overwhelmed, which I think most of us are. I have 2 other positions outside of my radio show, and I need this really badly. And I love gardening, and that takes a lot of time. So I think you need to take time. One thing I want to, at the top of the hour, we're getting to the top of the hour, and I just want to share that I think the thing that we really need to pay attention to is find out what makes you happy. Because if you don't have happy moments and moments that you kind of wind down and you get kind of zen and you are mindful and you get to have that calm in your day, actually, I think that helps you manage time so much better than if you're going until the last moment of the day, and you close your eyes and you go, sleep, and you can't go to sleep because you need to go to sleep, and you know you have to wake up early, and you try and force yourself into dreamland, and sometimes you don't get there because you're so wound up during the whole day. So give yourself some time for zen, for relaxing, for doing something that you really, really love. And I think we need to try and emulate a few of the other countries that know how to sit down, put their phone down, look across the table, and look somebody in the eyes and share with them a meal or share with them your ideas for the day, and just take time to lay back and feel good. And I think that's better than, I mean, if you come home and want a cocktail, it's fine. But to me, the best thing is just to have some time to reflect on your day and reflect on life, actually, because as you get older, time gets a lot more precious, and you relish those moments because they start to go by really fast. So, and I would love to see our younger kids, our children and the millennials and people in their 20s and 30s learn how to do that in their life before they get in their 40s and 50s and 60s, because it's a valuable lesson to learn how to do that. And I think maybe they do it better than some of us baby boomers. They know how to relax a little bit better and find what really gets you into that zen place. So you have time to let your heart slow down and your brain slow down and click away from technology and use something that is natural in your life. I know that's, I sound kind of preachy, but I actually think that that's really what enriches our life, is to take those moments and share with somebody, or even with yourself, to take time with yourself to sit and reflect and do something that you absolutely love to do, that you can't wait to do. And sometimes I get a high just doing a project. So maybe for you, when you're at work, you can get a high doing something that you really love to do, especially when you're really well organized and you have the time to do it right. So I hope you enjoyed the program today. We have a lot of great programs coming up. One of them I have is about Mark Twain and politics and in his time, and it relates really well to what's going on today in politics. And that's on June 2nd, next week. And I know you're going to enjoy this because it's kind of like a revisit of the past that reflects a lot what's going on in the present, and I think that you'll find it really fascinating. And it's about Mark Twain and some of the things that were going on during his lifetime, and how introspective he was and how he saw the world. And it's very enlightening, and you could take the things that he says, that he's saying in this book, and bring it back into our present day time, and you can actually see how he describes in reality some of the things that are going on in our politics today. I'm kind of a political junkie. I don't talk about it much on my radio show, but I just think that it is very, very scary where we're going in this country, and I think we really think about who you're voting for and where you want the country to go. And it troubles me that honesty is not a priority for a lot of the people that are running for office. Honesty, not being greedy, just living in a circle of people that want to control everything, and that really worries me, because I think it's a bad sign of our times if we actually elect somebody that has those horrible negative traits. We need to start reaching for higher ground and get somebody that will represent our country well, and will represent our country with honesty and authenticity. And it may not be the people that are chosen by the parties. maybe there's somebody that you know in politics that you know, and there's nothing wrong with writing somebody's name in. At least you'll be authentic for yourself. Thanks for being with me. Tune in every Saturday at 5 o'clock, because when you're here, I'm here. Thanks for being with me.